Welcome to the first episode of the PPF podcast, where we explore three important dimensions of growth for corporate professionals: the physical, the personal, and the financial. Today, we have a very fantastic topic at hand. It's called midlife, money, and me time. Why working women must stop putting themselves last. This is a conversation for every working woman who has spent years showing up for her career, her family, her responsibilities, her team, and everyone around her, while quietly pushing her own well being to the background. Midlife is often seen as a phase of pressure. Career responsibilities increase, family responsibilities deepen, health starts asking for attention, and financial decisions become more serious. And somewhere in the middle of all this, many women start asking themselves, where do I fit into the life I am building for everyone else? That is the heart of today's conversation. We are going to look at this from two important angles. The first is the physical wellness. How does the body absorb years of stress, emotional labor, delayed rest, and constant availability? And the second is financial wellness. Why do many women, even earning women, delay active ownership of their money until a life crisis forces them to look at it? To help us explore this, I have two wonderful guests with me. The first one is Madhuri Vasisht, a certified holistic yoga and sound healing professional who will help us understand the body, rest, energy, stress, and the importance of making me time a part of life. And also, we have Prashant Jogimat, a personal financial wellness expert who will help us understand why financial awareness, emergency preparedness, insurance, savings, and investments are essential for a woman's confidence and independence. This episode is not about making working women feel guilty for not doing enough. It is about reminding them that they matter too. Their health matters, their financial clarity matters, their time matters, and also their freedom matters. So let us begin and bring in our guests into the conversation. Hello, Prashant. Hello, Madhuri. How are you both doing? Fantastic to have you on this panel.
Doing really great. How are you, Charan?
Doing fantastic. How about you, Prashant?
Thank you very much, Sharon, for getting this on the table. Doing great, extremely great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. So glad to have you both on our first PPF podcast. And I would love to dive into this wonderful topic that we have at hand, which is, in my opinion, a pressing topic for not just India, for the world at large, with respect to the target audience, women, that we are going to talk about. So, how we'll go about this discussion is I have certain topical segments that I have for both of you. And then, based on these segments, I would want to open up the conversation with both of you and hear from both of you. So, the first thing that I want to open up is about the life a woman carries, managing her work, her home, her body, and her money. So, to open up the conversation, we need to look at acknowledging the many visible and invisible responsibilities carried by midlife women. So, I want to start with you, Madhuri. When you look at midlife working women, what do you notice about the way their body carries years of responsibility, stress, and constant availability?
So, the one word that can describe their bodies is neglect. Years and years of neglect. So we would have each one of us would have seen our own mothers, toiling in the kitchen or doing left things left, right, center, multitasking, taking care of so many things. And adding on to that, the current generation has added on the working professional tag as well, the women. So along with the household responsibilities, they have the responsibilities of the work as well. And ideally, if we would think that, okay, since the women are working now, probably the household responsibilities would reduce, but it's not so. So the working tag has added on to her responsibilities. So this results in her body being neglected, the slumping shoulders, the skin being, sagging, and the hair graying, premature graying, and all these are signs, and, weak bones, knee pain, and whatnot. And these are external symptoms, and there are many internal symptoms which they themselves, the women themselves, do not know. Irregular periods, irregular digestion, sleep deprivation, stress, and whatnot. So it's very, very easily identifiable. But the irony is that even though we are able to identify it, most women do not care about it.
So wonderful to actually start with such a long list. It looked like a grocery list for a whole wedding, but not the right kind of list that we could see on a conversation. Now, I would want
Absolutely.
to pick it up from the point that you mentioned on the word neglect, and I would want to go to Prashant on this. Prashant, from a financial wellness perspective, we know that women are managing so many responsibilities. Why do you think they don't take their own financial or money related decisions by their own, and it is always pushed to a background? What are your thoughts on that, Prashant?
Well, good points brought about by you, Madhuri. Well, I'll like to take it with a simple example. A lady once came to my office with her husband. During the discussion, I asked her, "How much do you think your family spends every month?" That's the simplest question that you could ask when any client comes to me. Without even looking at a single paper, you know what, Charan? She broke it down almost perfectly. She said school fees, groceries, electricity, maid, parents' medicines. She knew absolutely every expense. Then I asked, how much do you have in your retirement corpus? So the obvious thing was, there's a silence. What I've observed over the last 2 decades, a woman can tell you exactly when their child's school fees is due. She knows exactly when her husband's car insurance expires. She remembers her parents and doctor's appointments. She knows that the gas cylinder needs to be booked before the Sunday because guests are coming. But ask her when was the last time you reviewed your own retirement plan? Most often, you'll find a smile on the face and says, "I haven't really thought about it." The obvious question is why, right? So because she becomes the chief operating officer of the family, right? She keeps everything running, but somewhere along the way she forgets to become the chief financial officer of her own future, right? That's the and to add to that, here's the irony: everyone depends on her, yet she often depends on someone else to explain her own as well, right? So she smiled and said that the client who came, she smiled and said, "I have no idea. My husband looks after all that." I smiled and told her, "See, you're often managing the cash flow of the house. You just need to be a part of the wealth flow too." And that's why, she laughed and said, "I never thought of it that way." I'm sure many women looking at this podcast will relate to that, and that's the current future as well, right? So the current scenario as well, right? So that's how it is.
Which is very fair to know about, Prashant. Now I have a question for both of you. I think you we can go at it from either of you. Uh, the question is it fair to ask or fair to say that women often keep functioning even when both their body and money in their life keeps asking for their attention? Is it fair to function in that kind of a thing where they are neglecting it? Is it fair?
Absolutely.
Uh, Please go ahead.
Yeah, good, good, good.
So, in our society, I think the conditioning is such a way that sacrifice is glorified. So, a woman is sacrificing her day-to-day schedule and her health, her well-being, and then she's being available for somebody else, and that is glorified. And this is glorified by not just men or the family around, but the woman herself. So she thinks that only when I'm available for somebody is when I'm worthy. So that's exactly where this whole thought process comes, when even if I'm not well, even if I'm sick, I need to be available for somebody.
Fair enough. Prashant, what
And
are your
that's
thoughts?
exactly what happens with finance as well, right? So the responsibilities there are pretty very clear. I need to take care of it's already demarked. It's already there running across in the brain that this is what the areas that I need to take up. Though I find this predominantly among the working women as well. Yeah, so I meet up with a lot of working women. Some of them are in senior positions, but when it comes to taking decisions around the finances, let me ask my dad. or let me ask my father. So that is very simple, and husband dependency is much more when it comes to finances. I will take the consultation of my husband and let you know, and that tomorrow never comes because that question doesn't reach the husband.
Okay, now that we have opened up the conversation, I want to dig a little deeper. I want to go one step further. I want to talk about the aspect of why there is a backseat problem when it comes to women, and why they postpone themselves. Okay, so because one common thread I see both in health and money is postponement. They postpone rest, they postpone movement, they postpone checkups, and when it comes to the other side, they postpone even the conversation related to the financial aspects, and they postpone asking questions about money, and to sum it up, they postpone themselves. So to follow up on this backseat problem that we are looking at, I want to ask you, Madhuri, why do you think many women find it easier to care for everyone else's needs than to pause and care for their own body?
So, I got married recently, and from my childhood, I've been told, every action of mine has somehow been linked to what I would do after I get married in my husband's house. So everywhere, every time it is like, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this for your in-laws, you have to do this for your husband. So it's always, that whole aspect of giving, giving, and giving. So the brainwashing starts early. So that's how we have been trained, and that's exactly the pattern continues till the end of life unless someone intervenes and says no, you need to take care of yourself. So giving is always put as the priority, where our own taking, receiving from others, or doing something for ourselves is always put in the back seat.
Okay, okay. So Prashant, coming back to you on that on that same topic. Okay,
Uh,
so my question to you is there a hesitation or discomfort attached to asking the financial questions at home? Do you see that as a reason that exists in a large way, Prashant?
Yes, Charan. So here's something that I noticed. If you look at, probably you go to, the nearby grocery store, right? You have a woman standing next to you. Probably that woman will be negotiating with the vendor for 20 rupees. She compares a few websites and before be buying a mixer grinder for themselves, right? And then she knows exactly where the supermarket has discounts. That's as simple as this. That is financial decision making, isn't it? But when it comes to the conversation shifts to probably investing 20 lakhs, she suddenly says, I don't understand finance. So here's the point. I tell her, you make in the recent financial wellness for women, we also spoke about you're making so many financial decisions every single day. Now let's simply extend the skills, isn't it? That's where the question lies. Why don't you take the financial decision which is more important?
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, the women have their financial things up to task, but not on the all the aspects or all the dimensions of the financial things. If we can put it
Absolutely.
into a bucket, so
Absolutely.
so there's not a problem of competency. There's a problem of prioritization on what to know and what not to know could be. Okay, so now I'm just coming back to Madhuri here. So we talked about serving to the needs of the other, and you mentioned about a certain guilt attached. So why do you think there is this certain guilt attached when it comes to taking rest and when it comes to prioritizing a me time?
So it's basically, again, like I mentioned earlier, the sacrifice, the aspect of sacrifice is glorified. So I have a student who's a mother and who's also a working professional, and you ask her any remedy for any household remedies for her children. Probably a child has a cough or a fever or something, she knows top to bottom, she knows all the remedies, she knows which doctor to consult, she knows what is the best way for her child. And she is someone who is not able to walk because her knees are damaged. So that's how women are. So it's always whatever is their, knowledge, or whatever is their availability, it is always for others. And when they suddenly start to think about themselves, they don't even think. First of all, they don't even think, and finally when they actually start to think about themselves, they are always, guilty, saying, okay, if I'm taking time for myself, I'm cutting time, that time that I can give to somebody else, probably the husband, probably the child, or somebody else in the family. So the guilt is, this is the guilt aspect that is attached. So if I'm taking time for myself, if I'm doing something for myself, I'm sacrificing the time that I can give for somebody else.
So as a follow up to that, to still with you, Madhuri. Okay, so and what happens? Let's say when a woman keeps treating her energy as unlimited, what happens? Because I know that you have been working with a lot of women who are especially older, who have children, who have aging parents as a responsibility. So, what happens when women keep treating that their energy is unlimited? What has been your observation and experience there?
So my first observation is that people, women have this myth that they, the energy that they have, the capability that they have, the body that they are being blessed with, will stay the same forever. But it's not true. So I know of a person, a student, another student of mine, and she came to me with so and so health issue, and then I began, checking, what was her health issue, what is the best way that I can help, and I assumed she was around 60 plus. But then when she actually gave me, I mean, she told me her actual age, she was just 43. At the age of 43, she looked like she was 60 plus. So you start aging faster, your body starts showing signs faster. And all of us are aware nowadays, cardiac issues and diabetes have become so common. And once upon a time, all these issues were, 60 plus, 70 plus issues. Right now, these have, reduced, aged, and we start seeing this in 30s itself. So this is the impact of not taking care of ourselves when it is absolutely necessary.
So the takeaway is from this aspect of it is your energy and your physicality is not limited, and you need to block the time for yourself on that context of it. Fantastic. So Prashant, coming to you, why do you think this postponement of the conversation related to the financial aspects keep happening with respect to women? Is it because of lack of time, or is it because of lack of confidence, or is there a certain conditioning that has led them to feel this way? What do you think are the reasons, or is there something else as well?
See, a lot of these things happen during financial wellness sessions and when I meet up with clients who meet me, right? So they apologize before even asking a question. Sorry to sound silly, Prashant. Can I ask you this question? What's the difference between a nominee and a legal herbal? Tell them, this is a common question that comes across, and I tell them, this is not a silly question because this is one of the smartest questions that you can ask actually. If you look at it from the perspective of understanding things better and looking at it from a perspective of understanding financial concepts, see, they take a backseat. But when you look at their day-to-day management of their finances, they are one of the best in that. If you look at from the perspective of how better to cut down your budget, they're one of the best in that. So somewhere when it comes to investing for the financial future, there's a backseat. But when it comes to day to day taking care of ensuring that I have a 20,000 in my kitty, I should take care of everything. There is a very strong woman who's a great financial planner as such, right? So that being said, see, sometimes people stay silent, simply silent, because they're afraid of looking uninformed. The irony is that everyone else has the same question actually, whether it is men or women. So that's the point. So
So now I'm going to get into. I completely understand where you're coming from, Prashant, on this aspect. Now I'm going to get into a very important aspect or important things where I would want to tell where women start taking responsibility of their health and start taking responsibility of their financial wellness. So many people don't take their health seriously until the body forces them to stop. Similarly, in families, also, they don't take their financial preparedness seriously until a crisis exposes the gap. But should crisis be the first teacher? I have this as a question for both of you. Probably I would want to start with Prashant here. What are some common financial gaps that you see that remains invisible until a crisis happens?
Hmm. A good question, Charan. Not too far, far beyond the history. COVID has taught us something very powerful, isn't it? Many families suddenly realize that they don't know their insurance cover. They don't even have an insurance cover, as probably some of them came. Some didn't know whether they even had a health insurance at that point of time. Others had insurance, but they did not know how to claim it. The problem wasn't lack of money. The problem wasn't lack of knowledge in most of the cases. The problem was lack of awareness. And predominantly, where women took a lot of financial decisions, there was this problem, right? So is the case with men. Not to so the point is, preparation isn't about expecting bad things. It's about making difficult days slightly easier. And both men and women play a dominant role in this. And specifically when it comes to women, they could have a great influence in managing the crisis in the future. So COVID was a great example. So we don't know how the future lies. So it is very important that we are prepared for it.
COVID is something I think that was not just a crisis for one family or one community or one town. The universe decided, like, I'll all put you into a time ticking crisis box, and I'm going to see how you all are going to survive around it. That's a fantastic experience that you touched upon from a crisis standpoint. So I'm just coming back to Madhuri on this. From your experience, Madhuri, what are some of the common physical or emotional warning signs women tend to ignore until they become very serious? What are some signs there?
To answer this question, I would again want to give an example. In fact, my yoga journey began with this example. So I was diagnosed with PCOD in 2016. And back then, it wasn't very common. A few people knew about it. The awareness wasn't that great. But now, when you speak about PCOD, polycystic ovaries disease, every woman knows about it, and even men know about it, which is a great thing. Awareness is very, very important. But what happens is people know that women know that they are suffering from this, but do they really take time to take treatment or heal from it? So many of the women that came to me had this issue. And when I spoke in detail about it, they said, I have this issue from 5 years. I have this issue from 6 years, 7 years. And I said, okay, why didn't you take any step back then? Why didn't you, as soon as you notice some sign, why didn't you take the necessary step or going to take treatment or doing something about it? They said, even though it was there, we didn't worry much about it. But right now, my husband and I are planning for a child. We are planning to conceive. That is when I want to make sure that there is no issue. Now, my point is, why do you have to wait till you are planning for a child to recover from heal from whatever issues that you have? So only when there is a pressing need is when people start to think about their health. Now, what are the different warning signs when we talk about these signs? Are very, very simple. Okay. So, it's very simple sign is irregular periods. Nowadays, if you ask anybody, at least, 3 out of 5 women have irregular periods or something, related to periods which are causing them trouble, painful periods, or many women are even bedridden during their period cycle. And this has impacted their work as well because they don't get leaves. Not every organization has menstrual leave policies, and yet they don't take care of it. And apart from that, the usual stress, and this is not limited to one gender. Even men undergo this stress and sleep deprivation, digestive issues. These are all very common issues. But then when it comes to these issues, again, they wait for a certain crisis to happen where there is no other option except for when they have to do something about it. That is when they do something about it, because being prepared for something is not on the list of priorities at all.
Okay. So now, um, coming back to a point, I want to ask something common, because we dived into a lot of issues that a woman face in her personal life, and we touched upon the COVID aspect. I just want to take it a little positive. Okay. So, from your perspective, the question is for both of you. What changes when a woman starts preparing for before the crisis, and instead of reacting after the crisis? What really changes when they are prepared for a crisis before it happens?
Can I go?
Yeah, please, Prashant.
Okay. Well, uh, we'll take a step back and see as to or take another example and see as to think about traveling, right? Before even going on a holiday, we charge our phones, book hotels, carry ID proofs, keep emergency cash, download maps. Nobody says that, right? So why are you so negative? Do anyone say that? No, absolutely no, right? We call it preparation, isn't it? Financial planning is also exactly the same, and you're simply preparing for your life's journey, right? That being said, if you were to look at it, people often say, when it comes to women, my women isn't interested in finance. That's a common thing that I hear, and I completely disagree. Let's see what happens before a family wedding. She prepares the guest list, plans the budget, negotiates with caterers, compares with jewelry places, looks for discounts. So many things happening, right? Make sure nothing is wasted. Balances every expectation. That's exactly what could happen with finance also. If that's not financial planning, I don't know what it is. The only difference is she calls it running the house. The financial world calls it budgeting, cash flow management, and resource allocation. Already doing finance, she just has to realize it. So that's where the preparation part of it is very dominant among people.
Fantastic. Madhuri, from your perspective.
I can give you another example for this. So we do classes for women and children. So when a particular woman, working woman, joins our classes, within a period of 2 to 3 months, she makes sure that either her husband or her child also joins classes. So if a woman is aware of health and wellness, she makes sure that the entire family is involved, be it with relate to doing something for fitness, or being food choices, or the day to day routine, or whatever it is. Every aspect of it is impacted. So if one woman is aware, she makes sure that the entire family is. So that's the effect of a confident woman who is prepared instead of waiting for crisis.
I think there used to be an old saying: "You educate a
Yes.
woman, you take care of a lineage of generation in their family of how to go about becoming well off in their personal and financial requirements of it." And I think that you mentioned about how making a woman prepare themselves for their physical wellness, it not just only helps her but also helps her making sure the rest of the people who are there are also prevented from certain crises. So fantastic, Madhuri. I really get this point related to what you mentioned on when a woman is able to prepare herself for a crisis. She makes sure that she is able to make that preparation happen for her family as well. So now, as a part of our conversation today, I have one more segment that I want to talk with each of you in a very fast and short manner. I call it as a quick fire round where I want to have this conversation with you before we wrap up our episode. The questions are for both of you. So I would want each of you to take just one or two lines in responding to that question that we have on this quick fire round. So the first question is one thing women, working women especially, must stop normalizing. Prashant,
Stop knowledge, finance is not for me. My dad will
okay.
help me out with that. That's
Madhuri,
something that we shouldn't.
Being unhealthy is normal. It's okay to have aches and pains.
fantastic. So the next question that I have for you is one habit that can create long-term freedom. Madhuri, I'll start with you.
10 minutes of breath work every day.
10 minutes of breath work will give you freedom. Okay, Prashant.
Get involved.
Get involved. Something very simple. Get yourself involved in first place. Okay, the next question is one myth that you want to break. Prashant.
Uh, it's difficult. I don't think so. My brain works that way.
So that's a myth you're telling, right? It's difficult is a myth. It's not so difficult after all.
It's not so
Okay,
difficult.
Madhuri.
I will pursue wellness when I'm ready. You're never ready. Ready is now.
So there is nothing like when I will be ready and this is the right time. That is never going to happen. So that is a myth, right? It will never happen. Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. So I just have two more questions and I will wrap it up for today. So, one question every woman should ask herself this week, Madhuri.
Is it worth it? Running around, sacrificing yourself, and doing so much for others without taking care of yourself. Is it really worth it?
Is it really worth it? Okay, so that's a question that they need to really look at it and start indulging in some self care. So, Prashant, you
Let's do it now.
can I say it like better late than never? Do it now.
Do it now. Let's do it now. It should have been done 15 years ago. If that was the first best time, today is the second best time.
Second best time. So do it today. Do it now. Okay. The last question that I want to put across to both of you. One message to a woman who has always put herself last.
If you put yourself first for a moment, the world will not fall apart.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. What about you, Prashant?
And put yourself first is the message there, because you need to be strong enough when it comes to managing the finances. If you do not, probably it will fall apart.
Fantastic. I think when we picked up this topic of focusing towards women on their personal health as well as their financial wellness, we realized that there are a lot more things to speak on this than what we touched upon in this. Probably we barely scratched the surface of it. But then, for the want of time, and we would want to extend to another episode on talking this conversation, we would like to wrap this episode today. That was a fantastic attitude of being a sport by both Madhuri and Prashant on the quickfire round, and I really appreciate what they did here. And before I go to wrap this conversation about what we had today, for the people who are really looking at okay, now what Prashant said and what Madhuri said really resonated with me. How am I going to probably connect with them? So here is the QR code of Prashant, and if you scan this QR code, you will be able to connect with Prashant, and you will be able to take this conversation further if at all you have any follow up questions on what we covered today. And that's Prashant's QR for you on the screen. And if you are like, I have finally decided to make my personal health as my first priority and I want to have a conversation further with Madhuri, then this is Madhuri's QR on the screen that you see. You can connect with her. That's her Instagram page, and you can DM her and she'll be happy to talk to you about the challenges that you face as a woman. Okay, that said, as we come to the end of this first episode of the PPF podcast, there is one thought I want to leave you with. A working woman should not have a wait for exhaustion to take her health seriously. She should not have to wait for a crisis to understand her money, and she should not have to earn rest, care, or time for herself only after everyone else has been taken care of. And your me time is not selfish, it is a space where you return to yourself. So take one physical step and one financial step this week. Spend 10 minutes checking in with your body and create one simple money awareness sheet for yourself. You don't need to fix everything at once. You only need to stop keeping yourself last. Thank you for listening to the PPF podcast. This is where we explore growth through three lenses: physical, personal, and financial well being. Until the next episode, take care of your health, build clarity with your money, and remember to include yourself in the life that you are building. Thank you so much, Madhuri and Prashant, for being such wonderful guests. We look forward to catching up with you on another episode. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.